Alright, so I am continuing my review of the new light tanks that were released in 9.3, and so this is the T-54 lightweight, the N-tier 8 Russian light tank. It's a lot like the WZ-132. It has this 100mm gun. There's only one gun option on it, unlike the Wheezy. This is a game on Severogorsk. And the interesting thing about Severogorsk is that it's basically just a bunch of alleys, so there's a lot of peeking and poking. So it's not really that much for a light tank to do, particularly early on. So what I usually try to do is I'll go up into this middle area here, and that will allow you to spot one of two things. If nobody comes through the middle, it will allow you to spot some of the guys that head over to this east area over here. And if they do send anybody to the middle, it will allow you to spot the people who come into the middle, or they will spot you. One of the two will happen. And so you can just kind of hang out anywhere on this hill. And so we picked up this T-30 that's coming in here, and also 34-3, which rolled up against that little hill. And then as soon as you get lit, just drop back down. And then you can use these houses over here for cover as well. And so if you look at our dispersion, we have a very east heavy, like the 2 line is not guarded at all. There's T-95 sort of going up there, but most of our guys are going over this east area. We have some guys in here. We know that they have a T-30 over here as well. So a lot of what you're going to do in a light tank in this situation is kind of watch for gaps that you can potentially exploit. And so a tree just fell down over here. There were 2 different trees that fell over there. So I know that there's probably 2 guys over on this 7 line, at least 1. That T-34-3 had moved up through the valley, going back towards his guys over here. So we still have a bunch of guys in this middle area here, which is fine. These guys should hold this area okay for the moment at least. And so we're still waiting to see where we can find a little gap to get through. This T-30 has poked out to try to shoot at this 34-3. There's nothing like teammates driving in front of you. So the guys that knocked over the trees over here, oh no, this is a 34-3 that's trying to come through here. So he's going to proxy spot our 34-3. And so we see that they have a number of guys over here as well. Our T-95 never actually went up into that 2 line, so they got a 1390 out that side. And so I'm still trying to just more or less protect this 34-3, because I do know that they have guys over on the 7 line. There's the AT-15A. And then there's also this KV-85 out here. So they have, you know, as many guys as we have over here, they have as well. This 34-3 keeps poking out on this AT-15, so the AT-15 is sort of whittling them down. If the 34-3 forces that AT-15 to move forward, then I can get flank shots on him. I can't push out into him because they control this area. Well, they have tanks in this area over here, and also that KV-85. So I basically just need the 34-3 to not lose so much health, but he's already like partway dead. And this T-30 is starting to drive across down this way, over by where this T-28 is/was. And he's trying to cross the bridge now. And so they still have more numbers than us here, but we're sort of whittling them down. They're giving us opportunities by moving into these open areas, which are basically allowing us to get more or less free flanking shots on a lot of these guys. And with the 100mm gun on this tank, the DPM is actually fairly good for the gun handling. So this 1390 is over on the back here, but he's going to go down pretty easily. So now they've actually won this east side here, and we've held them in the center area long enough that they haven't really been able to do anything. So we weren't really able to push here on this side because of the numbers of what they had and the tanks that they had. There weren't really any gaps to exploit per se, but that's sort of what you're looking for in that sense. And if they're spread out pretty wide, then sometimes you can't get through. You just kind of have to be patient and then look for your opportunities. And then once things open up a little bit more, then you can be much more aggressive in how you flank.
It's a trap!
And then I think most of this is just cleanup. But this is sort of one of the things that people don't often do, is go to the opposite side. Everybody tends to go to the same side to attack. Ideally, especially when you're in a fast tank, you want to go to the side where other people aren't. Ideally want it to have it be somewhat protected so that you're not out in the open, getting shot by other things. But it's always much easier, particularly if you're a lighter or medium tank, to shoot things in the back or in the side than try to take them head on. And then I switched to HE because this is a waffle at close range, so it'll be really easy to pen. And then all I really want to do is just fire anywhere in the cheeks or in close to the turret ring. I want to avoid shooting directly into the gun or the tracks. And so, as I was saying earlier, so Severogorsk is a sort of game of lanes. There's this 2-3 lane over here, and then there's this sort of 890 lane over here. This 3 lane is really narrow, particularly right here. You can only really pass one tank. There's only this one passage through here. So it tends to be pretty campy, so you usually don't put anything up there. If our T-95 had moved further up, he probably could have held that by himself for a while. Usually most of the action happens over in this 890, but a lot of times, particularly in mediums and light tanks, what you do in the middle of this map becomes important. As it turned out, they sent a lot of tanks to the middle, which kind of made it into a little bit of a stalemate there. It wasn't really easy to just push in there. But we were basically able to whittle them down and keep us alive, because we had the numbers on the east because we completely abandoned the west, which is fine in a pub match. That is something that you need to keep track of. Particularly if you're that T-95, you need to know that you don't really have that much support on that side, sort of thing. And so that's just one of the things that you kind of have to watch out for if you're playing the map in general. And in the center area here, because we know that we had so many guys on that 890 line, despite the fact that they had a lot of dudes over here, right? They had the 34-3, the 15A, the KV-85, the T-30, the T-28, the IS-6, right? They had all those guys in the middle. So all you have to do on this side is really just stand pat. Keep an eye on this west side to see if they push a lot of tanks through over by the T-95. And then if you're these guys on the east, right? We had 7-8 tanks over here. Then these guys need to know, oh, hey, look, they've got a bunch of guys in the middle. We've got a lot of guys on this side. We should crush this side quickly. And they did, more or less, which was why we ended up winning this game rather easily. And then so you'll look at the damage, and so a lot of this damage ended up being a little bit late in the game, like on that IS-6, the Waffle, and the 122-44. But we basically traded really well in that middle area. Again, we couldn't really do that much in terms of lighting because Severogorsk isn't really a very good map for either passive or active scouting, really. So all you're looking to do is be opportunistic at that point. And we were able to do that. And so the gun handling, at least I've only played a few games in the T-54 lightweight so far, but the gun handling actually seems pretty decent. The aim time is essentially comparable to what you would expect from the 100 mil on the T-54. The accuracy is decent, but the DPM of it is actually pretty good considering the alpha, and so it's actually on par with the 85mm gun on the Wheezy 132, which is, you know, the same tier light tank, and that's a better DPM gun option for that tank. So it seems like the T-54 is a pretty nice tank. I wouldn't discount the turret armor too much, but you know, we'll have to see how much that plays into the actual efficacy of the tank. So anyways, I hope that was helpful for both the new light tank and a little bit on Severogorsk, and thanks for watching.